Sahih al-Bukhari 2041. Narrated Amra bint Abdurrahman from Aisha. Allah's Messenger used to practice i'tikaf every year in the month of Ramadan. And after offering the morning prayer, he used to enter the place of his i'tikaf. Aisha asked his permission to let her practice i'tikaf and he allowed her, and so she pitched a tent in the mosque. When Hafsa heard of that, she also pitched a tent for herself, and when Zainab heard of that, she too pitched another tent. When, in the morning, Allah's Messenger had finished the morning prayer, he saw 4 tents and asked, "What is this?" He was informed about it. He then said, "What made them do this? Is it righteousness? Remove the tents, for I do not want to see them." So, the tents were removed. The Prophet did not perform i'tikaf that year in the month of Ramadan, but did it in the last 10 days of Shawwal. Sahih al-Bukhari 2042. Narrated Abdullah bin Umar. Umar bin al-Khattab said, "O Allah's Messenger, I vowed in the pre-Islamic period to perform i'tikaf in al-Masjid al-Haram for one night." The Prophet said, "Fulfill your vow." So, he performed i'tikaf for one night. Sahih al-Bukhari 2043. Narrated Ibn Umar. That Umar had vowed in the pre-Islamic period to perform i'tikaf in al-Masjid al-Haram. A sub-narrator thinks that Umar vowed to perform i'tikaf for one night. Allah's Messenger said to Umar, "Fulfill your vow." Sahih al-Bukhari 2044. Narrated Abu Hurairah. The Prophet used to perform i'tikaf every year in the month of Ramadan for 10 days, and when it was the year of his death, he stayed in i'tikaf for 20 days. Sahih al-Bukhari 2045. Narrated Amra bint Abdurrahman from Aisha. Allah's Messenger mentioned that he would practice i'tikaf in the last 10 days of Ramadan. Aisha asked his permission to perform i'tikaf and he permitted her. Hafsa asked Aisha to take his permission for her, and she did so. When Zainab bint Yash saw that, she ordered a tent to be pitched for her and it was pitched for her. Allah's Messenger used to proceed to his tent after the prayer. So, he saw the tents and asked, "What is this?" He was told that those were the tents of Aisha, Hafsa, and Zainab. Allah's Apostle said, "Is it righteousness which they intended by doing so? I am not going to perform i'tikaf." So he returned home. When the fasting month was over, he performed itikaf for 10 days in the month of Shawwal. Sahih al-Bukhari 2046. Narrated Urwa. Aisha during her menses used to comb and oil the hair of the Prophet, while he used to be in i'tikaf in the mosque. He would stretch out his head towards her while she was in her chamber. Sahih al-Bukhari 2047. Narrated Abu Hurairah. You people say that Abu Hurairah tells many narrations from Allah's Messenger, and you also wonder why the immigrants and Ansar do not narrate from Allah's Messenger, as Abu Hurairah does. My immigrant brothers were busy in the market while I used to stick to Allah's Messenger, content with what fills my stomach, so I used to be present when they were absent and I used to remember when they used to forget, and my Ansari brothers used to be busy with their properties and I was one of the poor men of Safa. I used to remember the narrations when they used to forget. No doubt, Allah's Messenger once said, "Whoever spreads his garment till I have finished my present speech and then gathers it to himself, will remember whatever I will say." So, I spread my colored garment which I was wearing till Allah's Messenger had finished his saying, and then I gathered it to my chest. So, I did not forget any of that narrations. Sahih al-Bukhari 2048. Narrated Ibrahim bin Sa'di from his father from his grandfather. Abdurrahman bin Auf said, "When we came to Medina as emigrants, Allah's Messenger established a bond of brotherhood between me and Sa'di bin Arabi. Sa'di bin Arabi said to me, 'I am the richest among the Ansar, so I will give you half of my wealth and you may look at my 2 wives and whichever of the 2 you may choose I will divorce her, and when she has completed the prescribed period, before marriage, you may marry her.' Abdurrahman replied, 'I am not in need of all that. Is there any marketplace where trade is practiced?' He replied, 'The market of Kainuka.' Abdurrahman went to that market the following day and brought some dried buttermilk, yogurt, and butter, and then he continued going there regularly. Few days later, Abdurrahman came having traces of yellow scent on his body. Allah's Messenger asked him whether he had got married. He replied in the affirmative. The Prophet said, "Whom have you married?" He replied, "A woman from the Ansar." Then the Prophet asked, "How much did you pay her?" He replied, "I gave her a gold piece equal in weight to a date stone, or a date stone of gold." The Prophet said, "Give a walima, wedding banquet, even if with one sheep." Sahih al-Bukhari 2049. Narrated Anas. When Abdurrahman bin Auf came to Medina, the Prophet established a bond of brotherhood between him and Sa'di bin Arabi al-Ansari. Sa'di was a rich man, so he said to Abdurrahman, "I will give you half of my property and will help you marry." Abdurrahman said to him, "May Allah bless you and your family and property. Show me the market." So Abdurrahman did not return from the market till he gained some dried buttermilk, yogurt, and butter through trading. He brought that to his household. We stayed for some time, or as long as Allah wished, and then Abdurrahman came, scented with yellowish perfume. The Prophet said to him, "What is this?" He replied, "I got married to an Ansari woman." The Prophet asked, "What did you pay her?" He replied, "A gold stone or gold equal to the weight of a date stone." The Prophet said to him, "Give a wedding banquet even if with one sheep." Sahih al-Bukhari 2050. Narrated Ibn Abbas. UK's Majana and Tulmajaz were marketplaces in the pre-Islamic period of ignorance. When Islam came, Muslims felt that marketing there might be a sin. So, the divine inspiration came, "There is no harm for you to seek the bounty of your Lord in the seasons of Hajj." 2.198 Ibn Abbas recited the verse in this way,